Hey, welcome back, everybody. This is David Bush alongside of Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson, the author of the Habits of Health Transformational System. And we've been doing a Q&A format over the last few days to try to bring more hope, health, and help to those people that are currently struggling through these challenging times. Dr. A, welcome back to the live presentation.
Great. Thank you, David. And I'm excited about today. It's great to be back with all of you. And, at a time like this, when the whole world is under upheaval, and we're dealing with, with a significant pandemic, and we hear it every day, and we're hearing more about it. And, today I'm going to switch focus a little bit when we start talking. We have an amazing guest, someone that has taken the Habits of Health Transformational System and fully re-engineered her life, which she'll talk about is really helping her now during this time when it's crazy and the kids are home and all that crazy stuff's happened. So let's start there. We have Carol Hips on today. Carol is one of my leaders and one of the top health coaches in our mission. And I'd love to have you, Carol, come on and kind of talk about how the Habits of Health Transformational System and where you are now and how you're getting along during this crazy, tumultuous time.
Well, thank you for inviting me on, Dr. A. This is an honor to be here with you and David. It's funny because looking back at this picture of my transformation, I am so far removed from those days, but I still very clearly remember the turmoil, inside. And you see on the right here a photo of my family. I jokingly say we have every stage of dramatics from a toddler to a teenager, and it's because we do. And we've been dealing with fourth grade math all the way up to ninth grade geometry during this time. And so several years ago I worked as an RN, and I was actually an RN for 12 years. And before even finding out about this amazing transformational system, I left nursing and, had been on autopilot for 12 years, have been battling my emotional and physical well-being for the entire 12 years as a nurse, and just kind of punching that time clock and going home and putting my kids to bed and going back and doing it the same day or the very next day. And so it was a lot, but 4 years ago, I decided I wanted to pursue being a stay-at-home mom. And that was an emotional roller coaster in and of itself after 12 years of, kind of going through those motions and knowing what I was supposed to do every single day. So right now my heart is very tied to the medical professionals in this situation that's going on. So, I've always had a strong desire to create health and well-being in my life, but I think I was just so on that hamster wheel that I didn't really know how or what to do. And but really did have a strong desire to create change. And, a longtime friend of mine actually introduced me, Dr. Anderson, to your system. And I was so grateful for that because I feel like I've been kind of supernaturally calm during this time. And I credit, the majority of that to the system and helping me just, create some physical well-being, but also some emotional well-being during this time to be able to handle things that are being thrown at us. And, Dr. A, you speak a lot about creating a window of tolerance. And, I feel like that is what the system has given me, is this window of tolerance in my daily life. And so I've been completely blown away by that. And I'm so grateful for it. And it's really assisted me, moving from the place where you guys, if you're watching this, you saw that physical place that I was at, but it's given me the ability to thrive even now in circumstances where I have a toddler at home. I have a full-time business that I run. I also have, a 10-year-old and a 15-year-old. And so really, I kind of had a question for you, Dr. A, in regards to that window of tolerance. So for anyone that may be watching this that was potentially in the place where I was at, maybe not thriving physically, not thriving emotionally, could you maybe give them some steps or speak to them in regards to creating that window of tolerance in their own life?
Yeah, no, I would love to. And, it's so important to realize that 95% of people have built two adaptive mechanisms, defense mechanisms to kind of go through life. It's kind of their operating manual, the operating system. And one of them is rigidity. And so if you think of it of a river, on one side of the river is rigidity. In other words, the world has to be a certain way. Everything has to be this certain way. And that's how I cope. I range everything around myself in that position. I make sure the people I'm there, they act a certain way. I don't wander out because I got to make sure that I'm in charge. On the other side of that, on the other side of that river, that other bank would be what we call chaos. It's that we just react to everything. Rather than things being rigid, we just let everything kind of hit us in our life and we just react to it. And basically in the center is this flexibility, it's this tolerance, it's this ability to be able to adapt, and I use a lot of times the analogy of getting to yourself to the position. So it's like water on a duck's back, so that daily things that happen to you can just kind of roll off and they don't have that large impact. Some people get sideways because they drop the milk in the morning in the refrigerator, and during normal times they can make a big deal about that. I think right now that dropping your milk in impact, considering what's going on in the world, would be very, very minimal. But it's that practice, that practice of building that window of tolerance. And one of the key parts is having a gap between stimulus and response. And I use stop, challenge, and choose, and I've used it for the last decade as a net mechanism, a tool I created where people can kind of stop what they're doing when they start feeling that icky sauce, something's not right, whether they're in a meeting and someone's talking about them or doing something, and then challenge, why am I feeling that? And then choose an outcome that really takes me towards health and what I want. And, a great example of that is if you're really stressed out and fearful because of the pandemic, you're going to the refrigerator all day long and eating to comfort yourself. Well, that may work for the moment, but as soon as you're finished, then you're going to beat yourself up. Why am I eating all this nasty food? And you're going to get less healthy and not be able to adapt as well. So today, Carol, I want to do something, and I love your input as we do this. One of the key things I've been talking about the last few weeks is starting to examine our minds, examine what's going on. We have time now, and that's what you've done. You've taken the Habits Health Transformational System and you've gone through the process. What's great is you don't have to have the system. You can actually just go to the habitshealth.com site and get a lot of this stuff to get started. And if there's an ebook you can download and learn about Stop, Challenge, and Choose. But I want to talk about an ancient practice that was used in, ironically, of all places, in China. And they're actually, which is interesting, because even though this started in a province in China, the Chinese government has now highly recommended that people go back to the ancient art of meditation and spending that time, becoming aware of our feelings and our thoughts and starting to sit with those. So I'm pulling out something that was modernized into an acronym called RAIN, which stands for recognize, basically allow. The third is investigate, and the fourth is nurture. And so RAIN actually fits very nicely into Stop, Challenge, and Choose, and gives us an opportunity to focus on our feelings. So the first part is we need to start to understand why we're feeling these emotions and what they're doing. Because, hey, listen, we're all feeling different, right? Everything's been, the upheaval is so significant, whether it was small plans or huge plans, whether it was something we wanted to do or didn't want to do, whether it was the spring or not, all of a sudden everything is changing for us. And we're reading, and this is a very serious pandemic. And unfortunately, it's everything from people getting sick to losing lives. And so there is an element of fear and caution. And so at a time like this, I wanted to today kind of give a couple tools, and I kind of reflect with you on this. And David and I can talk about this as well. But I want to talk about using RAIN. So RAIN, if you think about it, basically allows you to, in a non-judgmental way, to really kind of investigate your thoughts and be curious about them, of why am I acting feeling like this? So when you start off, the first is R, and R stands for recognize. So you want to recognize what's going on inside you. Inside you, there's this anxiety at your feeling and maybe even guilt. And so we want to just recognize, what is it I'm feeling? And usually you can sense it because it actually comes to an area in your body. Like when we're really scared or nervous, a lot of times we get it in our stomach, or we might be angry about it or wondering, why is this happening? And we get it in our throat. And so just to allow that feeling, to just be there with it and allow it to be, not trying to fix it. So basically, I think everybody can practice this. And so think of something that's going on. Actually, we can do it right now. Let's do it right now. Okay, let's just right now. Let's think about something, because you got a lot of stuff going on. You were telling me maybe even how do you do arithmetic? I don't know what it is. But recognize right now, what's something, Carol, that's going on right now inside, something you're feeling inside of you, some anxiety. What would you say that would be?
Oh, well, I'm all on point with this because it literally just happened today. So we were doing fourth grade math and science, and I'm I'm doing the, computer work with my 10-year-old who can't really understand all the things, and there's no video presentation or anything. So I'm going through a 10-year-old through a computer screen and trying to figure out what the teacher wants. And I did that lump in the throat that you're talking about. I felt that, and I felt little butterflies in my stomach. And I don't know if I maybe followed through with this rain or not, but I can tell you what I did. But I want to go through it with you. But that did
Okay.
come up today.
Okay. So what would you, if you recognize, what was the feeling?
Anxiety.
Anxiety. Okay. And anxiety is really a form of fear, isn't it? Or
Yes.
it can be fear, it could be anger, it could be a combination of those. So, okay. So right now, kind of let's just allow that for a moment. Okay. Just kind of allow you to feel that way. And don't judge yourself, but just kind of feel, why am I feeling this way? And then investigate it. So the third part is investigate. So why do you think you were believing that? Why were you getting anxious? Why were you a little bit maybe even fearful or butterflies? Why were you feeling that way?
I think a few reasons. I didn't really understand it. I felt like I should because it was fourth grade work. I also felt like we were on a time frame. We had other things to do, and she needed to have it turned in tonight. And I want to teach her well is the other thing too. I want her to understand it. So I think those were the few things I was feeling.
Okay, so really now going back to the end or the nurture, think about that. You're nurturing yourself as a mom. You want to do right for your child. You start to feel this anxiety, but the reality is what your intentions are incredible, right?
Right.
And so, at a time like this, things we can do, when we're feeling these feelings. So for the nurturing part, it's just being loving ourselves. We're so loving to everybody else, and we're so darn mean to ourselves, right? And so, just feel that. I like make an analogy. It could be something of, to kind of nurture, to kind of feel, to kind of let that feeling start to kind of dissipate once you've recognized it and you're allowing it, basically, and you investigated why you're or how you're feeling or what's made you believe that. The last part, then, which is really cool, is you can kind of just let it go, can't you?
Mhm.
And you know what you can do during a period of time like that is even go back to something like, think about somebody you love, maybe your mom, your dad, someone, your grandmother, someone who's important to you, and just feel like you're getting a big hug from them, right? And just love on ourselves. And what happens is all of a sudden a lot of the anxiety and energy will go away. So the cool thing about that is it allows you to start being with yourself in a kinder, more gentle way. Isn't that cool?
That is cool. And you know what I did? I actually just did what you said. I stopped and I evaluated. I went outside. I called a client, shared a little love with that client, and then I came back in and we finished the assignment.
Good. Love it. Yeah. So what you're human, and you're dealing with something you're not used to. So we recognize we got some anxiety about it. We're a little frustrated. Obviously, the tension's up. Everybody's home. You want to work on other things. You've got your spouse. You've got your business. You've got your own health. So it's normal for us to feel these feelings, and we have to stop beating ourselves up. So again, just for review for everybody. So when you're starting to feel that way, stop, challenge, and choose. And how you can use RAIN for the emotions is just recognize what emotion you're feeling. Okay, just allow yourself to be with that emotion. Don't judge it. Don't beat yourself up. Kind of feel that. Then investigate. The I in brain is investigate. Why am I feeling this? What am I believing? What am I believing about myself or about this? And then the last is kind of just let it go and nurture yourself and then get back to work, right? And that's important because everything we're doing right now, every day is changing. And as it changes rapidly and we hear these tough stories that are going on, we're all going to feel those feelings. So acutely make the adaptations, do the things that you need to do now, and then basically go on with the rest of your day doing the things that are most important, which is as a mom, as a wife, as a business coach, as a leader, and for your own health. It's so important. Cool.
Great.
Yeah.
Carol, do you have another question?
Yeah, well, and maybe this is leading into some things that I think Dr. A maybe you might want to share, but you brought this up where people just don't really feel like maybe they're enough right now, and I'm noticing that with, some of my friends and a lot of moms and wives and just people in general who are now maybe working from home all of a sudden when they've never really had to do that before, us teaching our kids and, just different logistical things and stressors. And so there's lots of emotions that people are feeling, and how we just walked through that was incredible. But I know a lot of people don't really, maybe now they have the tool to be able to do that, but how can these feelings, if we process them correctly, and these emotions really help us fuel growth in our life? Do you have some pointers for people who are maybe watching that and they feel really, kind of out of sorts with their emotions right now so
Yeah.
they can fuel personal growth?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And we all have an identity, and our identity, as we talked about, could be as a mom, as a husband, as an employee, as an employer. There's all these roles we play, and all of a sudden everything has been disrupted, and so everything's changing, and so our whole day, our whole organization, all of a sudden is completely changed. And so what we were talking about, this exercise with Stop, Challenge, and Choose, and with Rain, is all about awareness. It's actually coming in the present moment. And so it really starts with our own health. It's kind of like, when you're on a plane and they give you the drill on the oxygen mask. You put your oxygen mask on first and then you put it on your children. People may initially think, well, why would I do that? I love my child. Because if you're unconscious, you can't put it on them. So if you're unconscious day in and day out, and you're allowing yourself to be like like a chip being thrown around on a tumultuous ocean, you're not going to be at your best for everybody else. And so it's really important for us individually. This is a gift, and even though it's a horrific contagion, it's also an opportunity for a gift for us. And I'm going to read a cool poem that I found from Ireland that just really kind of says it all. But this is an opportunity for us to work on ourselves and grow. So I think that's really important. And so to spend that time with ourselves. And so when we're around our family, like, I'm in close quarters. I have both my daughters here and they both have a friend with them. So, I'm not used to that. I'm not used to having them. I love having them here and it's awesome. But on the other hand, we have to adapt to our schedules. I've got a very busy schedule and we're all on the same floor in the house and they're studying from remotely from college and they can't download their papers. And so every day there's a new adjustment, right? But when we come collectively together, we need to be there for each other. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. When we have those parts where we're just feeling that tension and we need to go out and do a little rain, let the rain come down, on us, go to another room, get away, go out for a walk, just scream at the top of your lungs because we want to get those emotions out of you. You want to have them gone because you can't really work as your best self when you basically are totally messed up, right? Just psychologically messed up, emotionally just in an upheaval. So what we need to do then beyond that is when the logical part comes back is start planning our schedule. So, I talk about two critical parts of the day. One is the twilight hour and the other is the model morning. So what I actually do is help people start to organize to create more optimal days by creating more optimal hours, by creating more optimal sleep, and by creating more optimal schedules where they get the things done, where they feel like they've accomplished something and the day didn't just get by them. Because now with the kids home, Carol, if you don't plan your day, the kids are going to consume you. That's the window of tolerance, chaotic, just reacting to all day to what's going on. We want to create some order to our day. So the first part is I always start is at the twilight hour, because during times like this, especially when we have high anxiety levels and we're worried, we do not sleep well. And so it's important for us to really set ourselves up and to quiet our mind. And so to give ourselves that hour before we go to sleep, we want ideally to get 8 hours of sleep. 8 hours of sleep, some people can use a little less, some a little more, but around 8 hours is the sweet spot. So the hour before we go to sleep, it's time to turn off that TV. Listen, the COVID-19 is not changing hour for hour. Yes, it's moving quick, but during one day, it's not going to change by the end of the day. So the bottom line is once a day, make your corrections understanding, which I say do in the morning. You can do it at night, but I suggest you do it in the morning because at night, the last thing you need to do is be worried about stuff. So what I would do is take that hour before you go to bed, take a hot bath, make sure the kids are put to sleep, make sure everything else is done. All your lists are done. If you've got to order your groceries, whatever's going on, and then spend that hour cooling off your bedroom, making sure it's dark, making sure it's quiet, making sure that the sheets are clean and there's no clutter, and then taking a hot bath, relaxing, maybe putting some chamomile on your sheets, and just then when you hit the sack, boom, you're ready for sleep. And then the other side of that is that model morning. It's when you get up in the morning. You can do it at night if that's your better thinking at night. But for most people in the morning, before you get ready for everybody else, get up early enough because you went to bed early enough where you have that time where you write out what are the things I need to get done today. In your case, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on because you have the kids as well. But then that model morning sets you up during that day, including, a great thing to do in the morning was part of that is turn on the TV or rather than using the TV, I use the World Health Organization, the CDC, Johns Hopkins, one of the reliable sources that's not going to sensationalize, but is going to give me the factual information so I can make any adjustments that are needed during this time of rapid change, right? But beyond that, then plan your day. And then during the day, when stuff comes up, stop, challenge, and choose. If you're starting to feel intense emotion, then use this new tool we've given you called RAIN. So I think that's really a great way. And you do it in baby steps. You're not going to be, it's not about being perfect. It's just getting a little more organized, a little better each day, and making sure you're taking time, especially for yourself, so you can be better for others. Cool?
Great. Any other questions, Carol, or you want to wrap it up, Dr. Way, with your poem?
Yeah, before my point, I want to give, I thought it'd be good to give people some things to kind of think about. So listen, there's a sense of a state of separation right now, right? We're stay at home now. We're all stay at home. We're not just stay at home moms, we're stay at home dads and kids. The dogs have to stay at home. Everybody's got to stay at home. So with that, there's three things I want you to think about. These things help bring us and connect us together. The first is reach out and connect by phone, video conferencing, be real with each other, right? Talk to each other about your fears, about the things that are going on. When we share that, we all are anxious right now. And if someone says they're not anxious, then they're just not paying attention. They're sleepwalking. And so, it depends, and it helps deepen our capacity to share and talk about it. That's the first thing. Second, do something to help. Engage, volunteer, provide some service. Obviously, Carol, all day long, you're coaching. David, you're coaching. And so we're out doing something of service, which really helps us feel good and takes the anxiety off because we're doing something that's helpful. And then the third is celebrate, a walk outside. Spring is coming. I'm in Florida and we've already got it, but for most of the country, most of the world, spring is coming. Let's celebrate that. Let's get out. I just read a beautiful thing the other day in Italy where they all opened up all the windows and they all sang the national anthem of Italy and they all came together. And then they were singing in different places and just celebrating that, this will pass too, and we're humans and we're much better together. So I think that's important. So I want to end that with a poem. I found this cool poem. It basically came from a brother in where was it? It was in Ireland and Republic of Ireland. And I thought it was called Lockdown. And I thought it'd be a great way to end because I think it's beautiful. Lockdown by Brother Richard. Yes, there is fear. Yes, there is isolation. Yes, there is panic buying. Yes, there is sickness. Yes, there is even death. But they say that in Wuhan, after so many years of noise, you can hear the birds sing again. They say that after just a few weeks of quiet, the sky is no longer thick with fumes, but blue and gray and clear. They say that in the streets of Assisi, people are singing to each other. Yes, there is isolation, but there does not have to be loneliness. Yes, there is panic buying, but there doesn't have to be meanness. Yes, there is sickness, but it does not have to be disease of the soul. Yes, there is even death. But there can always be a rebirth of love. Wake to the choices you make as how to live now. Today, breathe. Listen behind the factory noises of your panic. The birds are singing again. The sky is clearing. Spring is coming. And we are always encompassed by love. Open the windows of your soul, and though you may not be able to touch across the empty square, sing. So what I would say is right now, reach out with our hearts because we can't reach out with our hands. God bless. Thank you, guys.